Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, greetings to everybody. Actually, the class happened yesterday, but I forgot to click YouTube live link, and then hence the whole session was not transmitted. But anyway, better late than never, or I believe in, try to do it again. So I'm just going to recap what I did, what I covered yesterday, real quick, so that if anybody has missed, then you will be able to uh, follow it, and then from next week onwards, there will be those sessions will be recorded. Okay, so let's get started. Let me share my screen. Okay, so applied astrology, then I will be primarily teaching the stellar nadi method, and how it is different and how accurately we can do the predictions. Okay, so using this method, we can predict pretty accurately, like more than 80%, or at 80% minimum after you practice more. Okay, so just to give a recap, a background about me. Some of you might know, some of you may not know. So I'm a program management professional working in the software industry, and I hold MBA in systems and finance. That is my academic side, the academic and professional side. And I'm coming to the astrology side. I hold a PhD in astrology, and I have more than 20 years experience in occult sciences, palmistry, astrology, vastu, numerology, and handwriting analysis. Okay. So the critical predictions I made recently is like during the pandemic time, I predicted in the first week of March itself, that's on 8th March, predicted when we will get the vaccine. I predicted accurately, like our vaccine will come out after September 19th of 2020. That has happened. And the next was the whole market crashed. US and India market crashed. Then I predicted in March itself that the market will start to recovering from May 15th onwards. A lot of people didn't believe that we were in the peak corona, and pandemic was announced everywhere. Like the whole world, we had no clue what's happening, and how to recover and things like that. And that is the time I said market will recover from 15th May. A lot of people didn't believe it, but that's what it is. You can see the market both for US and India. Then the other prediction I made is on Omicron virus. When this Delta wave was going on April 24th, I predicted there will be a variant on 21st of November. And the first Omicron case was registered on exact same day, 21st of November 2021. So this is the screenshots of stock market. One is Dow Jones and the other one is BSE index. You can have clearly marked the dates from which date onwards it started going up. So all these things are there in my YouTube videos. You can feel free to look at it. So this is about me. So now what I will be covering in the 6 months course is the fundamentals of astrology. I'll be teaching from basics, like I said, from basics to advanced. So from basics, you don't need prior astrology knowledge. So I'll be teaching that, then casting horoscope, reading, and then casting the Bhava chart or Chalit chart. It's called in North India. And the Dasa system, Vimshottari Dasa system, how to use the Vimshottari Dasa system, and then transits, Gocharam, and then the stellar nadi method, how to cast the horoscope, basically the Bhava chart and using stellar nadi method, and how to calculate this nadi coordinates and all. And then I'm also teach another concept which is getting popularized in Tamil Nadu recently, last 5 years, is the DNA astrology. So that also I will be covering. And then education, career, profession, marriage related issues, childbirth related issues, property, assets, vehicles, those things, court cases, all these things will be each session, and how to predict and analyze and predict these areas, right? And then whether the person will go on a work visa, business visa, long-term, short-term, green card, permanent residency, citizenship, all that. Then the medical astrology is basically what type of issues, medical issues the native will get, which body parts they will get problems and all that. Then the longevity, how long the person can live, this time to live or whatever, that's one. And the next is the horoscope matching. Horoscope matching will be very detailed level. Now we are seeing that a lot of people say that, okay, we check the horoscopes before marriage, but still divorces are happening. And then there is a group talking about, what is the use of horoscope matching? So the astrology itself is humbug like that. So I will be covering that as well, right? How that is different and all. Okay, and the next is remedies, right? So remedies, what are the remedies, pariharams we can do? Okay, but one thing we should keep in mind that just because we are doing remedies, it doesn't mean that we can prevent the event to occur. It is like remedies are nothing but like you check the weather report, you see, okay, today it's going to rain. So you'll be prepared for the rain. You'll take an umbrella, raincoat, or whatever. All right. But nobody can stop the rain. Same thing. Nobody can stop the event occurring. But we can, using remedies, we can improve the situation, and so that the impact will be less. And the Prashna astrology, Prashna or Prasanna in Tamil is called, and then the Horore astrology, right? So there, like I will be teaching two methods, traditional methods and the Stellanari method. And what are the limitations on the traditional methods, and where the Stellanari method helps in predicting accurately. Then the next will be the birth time rectification. We think every person comes to us has that accurate birth time, but in reality, it is not. It will be definitely off by few minutes. Just because somebody says, okay, my birth time is 10:13 a.m. or p.m., whatever, it doesn't mean that it is accurate. It will be a few minutes off or half an hour off or whatever, so that we have to check and then fix it. So how to fix that? That is what this whole chapter is about. Then the muhurta, auspicious time, right? For all the various events, that one. Then transits, how to use the transits to do the predictions, right? So you will see a lot of TV channels everywhere. When Saturn transit happens, Jupiter transit happens, people will come and then give the predictions. And I'm not talking about those predictions. I'm talking about, yes, when the transit happens, how that transit is going to affect individual assets. Say, for example, somebody is Simha Rasi, means in the whole world population, there are 12 signs, 12 Rasis, right? 1/12 of the people belong to Simha Rasi. Does it mean that all the Simha Rasi people will get affected? No, right? So there are with the various age groups, all that, right? So the transits, how the transit is going to affect us, that is what I'm going to be teaching. So basically, what is Jyotisha, right? Jyotisha is study of light. Jyoti means light, right? That is what our Sanskritam talks. So astronomy is basically, right, we know it is the celestial bodies in our solar system. You study the solar system and then you see, okay, these are all the planets, these are all the, it has this orbital movement, this is the size of that planet and things like that. Those are all the physical characteristics of those planets. But what is astrology? The astrology, in my opinion, it is basically astronomy plus logic. So you use those physical aspects and then you apply your logic. What is that logic? Is basically those planets have influence on our human being, on our human behavior, on our human thought process. So that is what the logic is. And then based on that, we predict. Say, for example, say today Saturn is in Makara sign, right? Capricorn. The same Saturn will be behaving differently to me, to you, to others, everybody. For each and every person, it will give a different result. Right. So how is that? Or if, for example, the in our native charts, we will be having different planets in different houses. And then how, even though the planet is same, say for example, in case of twins, they are born like few days, I mean, few minutes apart, but their lives are different. How is the most the planetary positions are almost same, right? But how is their life is different, right? There is a change, there is a difference. That is what we will be analyzing deeply and then doing for predictions. Okay. So now coming to the predictive astrology, what is predictive astrology? Predictive astrology is about you're doing these calculations, you analyze, and then you put your own logic and reasoning, and then arrive at the predictions. The predictions is basically our day-to-day life issues. Somebody is not studying well, will I get graduate? Will I get married? Will I get a job? Will I do my business is good? All those types of issues, my health issues, property, will I buy a house, all those things, right? Somebody wants to come to US or other foreign country, people are in India. So all that, right? All those issues people face, and then they want to know what is going, what is there in their life. That is what we can predict. Okay. But one thing I want to make sure clearly tell that, so this is basically decoding. Astrology is nothing but decoding. Everything is written. So we say, right, in our Hindu system, Brahma writes our fate. Everything we say, everything is written here, and nobody can read it. Only Brahma can read it, and Narada can read it. But we are using astrology as a tool to read what is written here. That's all. Our power is only to read, not to change. Changing is not possible. It's only interpret, read. That's all. That is why astrology is also called as Brahma Vidya. Okay. So Brahma Vidya means only Brahma knows this. And we are trying to decode what Brahma has written. Okay. That is why it is called Brahma Vidya. So basically, the Jyotisha Shastra, it was first written by sage Bhrigu Maharshi. He is one of the Sapta Rishis. And then later it was developed by Maharshi Parashara. So Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra is a very popular book. It is kind of a base for everything. So one should read that. And then now Ramayana, our oldest epic Purana, has numerous references on planetary positions of critical events. When the Lord Ram was burned, Sita abduction, Hanuman visit to Sri Lanka, war, when the war started between Ram and Ravan, and all that has been clearly depicted in the Ramayana, the Valmiki Ramayana. So that means already it was prevalent in those days. Astrology was prevalent in their day-to-day lives. That is the reason Valmiki has written all those details. Otherwise, why will Valmiki have to write, mention about all these things, right? So, and then how old it is, nobody knows how old it is. In my opinion, it could be like 1.7 million years ago. That is just because I'm just taking the reference as Ram Setu Bridge, the Adams Bridge, with the bridge constructed between Rameshwaram and Sri Lanka. The Vanara Sainya went to Sri Lanka, right? And then those stones are much older than the seabed. Those stones are dating like approximately 1.4 to 1.7 million years. So I'm just taking that as a reference. Okay. And nobody knows for sure how old is the Jyotisha Shastra. So in the Hindu scriptures, this is the high level structure, Sruti and Smruti. Under Sruti, we have the Vedas, Upavedas. We all know that 4 main Vedas, and then Upavedas, you see the Ayurveda, right? And in Smruti, there are so many Shastras, Puranas, and under Vedangana, you have this Jyotish Shastra as the one thing. So the moment we are interested in this subject, That means we are into this space. It is not easy. Very few people can come into this space, right? So you should feel you are blessed and to learn about this subject. So what are the different types, right? So Brigu wrote the Brigu Nadi, that is the base, and then later on Parashari method, Parashara Hora Shastra, that is one, and then later on Jaimini Rishi, another Rishi, he developed further, and he has Jaimini Sutras. Then we have Lal Kitab, this is written Farsi. He basically Lal Kitab, Lal means red, Kitab book. It's a red book in English. If you translate, there are a lot of sutras. It is written in Farsi language. So hence our Indian, Northwest and Pakistan, that region, it is very popular. And Nadi astrology, you have Brigunandi Nadi, Naga Nadi, Chandrakala Nadi. There are a lot of different Nadi systems. More than 10 Nadi systems are there. So that is one. And another Nadi in Tamil Nadu, they call, it is basically written by Agastya Rishi on a palm leaf. So you give your thumbprint and then they will pull out your palm leaf and then they will read out. So that is not based on astrology. That is basically based on Agastya Rishi's intuition and Divya Drishti. Okay. So coming to the modern Vedic astrology types, so we have stellar nadi method. It's a stellar astrology. In that, stellar nadi is one of the method. The other method is KP, Krishnamurti Paddhati. Under KP, again, there are some minor different methods. That is KP Kuller, Kaspal interlinks, KB Bhaskara astrology, it is called, and then Bhaskara interlinks, that one. And then other one is Gurumurti Paddhati. Gurumurti Paddhati is again very close to Krishnamurti Paddhati. I mean, all these three are very close to Krishnamurti Paddhati. Basically, they extended the Krishnamurti Paddhati to further detail in a different way. One thing I can talk about Mr. Gurumurti Paddhati, Mr. Gurumurti ji is he is the direct disciple of KP. So he learned KP Krishnamurti Paddhati directly from KP Krishnamurti, and then he has developed his own. So his GMP method is pretty good for astrology. I mean, so for Prashna astrology. Okay, and there are a lot of similarities between Stellar Nadi and KP. A lot of people think the Stellar Nadi is KP, but it is not. Both were developed around the same time, but there are some controversies over there. Stellar Nadi started first, later on KP came. I'll show in the next slide. What is that about? Then the DNA astrology, which is again getting popularized in the last 5 years. This is within India. So now we go outside India. You have Greek astrology, Western astrology, and Chinese astrology. Okay. So this is what I was talking about. The Stellar Nadi astrology. First, he brought this concept of dividing the nakshatra space into unequally by 9 parts. He first wrote this in January 1955 edition, in astrological edition, by Mr. R. Gopal Krishna Rao. His code name is Meena. Now there is Meena 2 is also there. Mr. Raghavachari, I think he's in Hyderabad, and he developed further. It's called his Meena 2, and his daughter is practicing it. But what I will be teaching is the original Meena 1, and then some variations to it. Along with that variation, I have my own variation. I have another my own method, hybrid method, that also I will be talking about. Okay. So we all know there are 12, the whole universe, 360 degrees, has been divided into 12 rasis, 12 signs. Okay, it starts from Mesham to Meenam. Each sign is 30 degrees. That is fixed. That is not going to change. Okay, you may have to by heart these 12. Then we have to see graha. In our system, in our Vedic astrology, we call this graha, not as a planet. There is difference between planet and graha. Planet is the English version of graha, but there is difference. Planet is that represents the physical celestial body. What it says, it has to be round, it will have mass, it will orbit around the sun. It will have its own elliptical cycle, and then it orbits around the sun. That is planet. But graha means it has a characteristic. So graha means in Sanskrit, right? In Sanskrit Telugu, we call it as it absorbs. Okay, absorbs things and then absorb, and it will have its own characteristics, and then uh, uh, transmit the same energy in a different. Okay, so so that is why it is called graha. So basically, all these grahas, they accept the sunlight, okay, and then emit the light, the rays in a different way, on its own way, on its own style. That is why it is called grahas, not planets. We interchangeably use graha and planet, but they are different. Okay, so with that, the first is the sun, Surya, then Chandra, moon, Mangal, Puja, Chavai is the Mars, Buddha, Mercury, Brihaspati, Guru, Jupiter, Shukra, Venus, and Shani. So if you see, we have only 7 here, 7 planets, 7 grahas, right? 7 grahas. But in our system, we call it as Navagrahas. What are those 2 other grahas? So those 2 other grahas, they are called Chaya grahas. Chaya grahas means shadow. They do not physically exist. Okay, so they are Rahu and Ketu. In English, it is known as North Node, and the Ketu as South Node. And there are other planets we see in our science books, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, but they are not considered as a graha in our Vedic astrology. Why? Because by the time sunlight goes there and emits, and say, for example, Pluto's elliptical cycle, one cycle is 246 years. And no human will see the one complete cycle of Pluto. Okay, so I think Uranus is something like around 76 or 78 years, like that. Okay, so other than Uranus, there is a chance one person might see one elliptical cycle, but other 2 is humanly, it's not possible at all, right? So hence, again I told you, right, the graha, it has to absorb the light and then emit. So absorbing and emit, and by the time it comes to Earth, it takes a long time. Further in the course, I will tell you how long it is taking these planets, right? And then why we have not considered. So that is the reason we don't consider. But a lot of Indian modern astrologers are considering these 3, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, but I do not consider. So basically, the solar system, right? This is the heliocentric model. This is what we have seen. All these grahas, planets are orbiting around sun, and moon orbits around Earth. But in astrology, we have to see geocentric solar system. That is, Earth is the center point and all other planets are orbiting around Earth. Okay, so in that order, if you see, closest graha to Earth is moon. The next is Mercury, and then Venus, and then Mars. Okay, and then Sun. So like that. See, this is the order. And Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn is the farthest planet. Okay, so these are the basic 7 grahas, right? So now you have to keep in mind another factor is all these planets, grahas, rotate in an anti-clockwise direction only. Okay, even though in astrology, while representing in our horoscope, we represent in a clockwise, but actually in the space they are rotating anti-clockwise. So now coming to Rahu and Ketu. So basically Rahu is nothing but it is the intersection point between sun's and moon's path. Okay, so the difference, the maximum gap will be between sun and moon path is 5 degrees, but at some point it will merge, both will merge. So as I told you, right, it is anti-clockwise direction. When it is moving anti-clockwise direction, the first point is called Rahu, that is the north node, and the other point will be Ketu, that is the south node. Okay, ascending node or descending node all means the same thing. You should always remember the exact Rahu and Ketu will be always 180 degrees apart. Okay, it will be exactly 180 degrees. So there is no change in it. And Rahu Ketu in a actual space in this, it will be moving in a clockwise direction. But in astrology, we are taking all planets as clockwise. So hence Rahu and Ketu will be anti-clockwise. Okay. So horoscope types, North Indian is called movable zodiac. That means the horoscope chart represents always the same. Lagna will be always here. Only the signs we will change which sign the Lagna is. So if you say if there is a planet in 10th house, the planet will always be here. Planet in Lagna here, then you will put always here. And while counting, you will do the anti-clockwise direction, like how the actual zodiac is. Okay, anti-clockwise 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. In South Indian style, it is fixed. So always these rashis are fixed, like the zodiac. But the moment what we see is we take it as a clockwise movement. So this is Aries, Mesham, and this is Pisces, Meena. Okay, so Aries, Mesham, Vrishabha, Mithunam, Karkatam, Simha, Kanya, Tula, Vrishika, Dhanushu, Makaram, Kumbha, Meena. Okay, so this is how it will be. Then you will move the Lagna based on it. Somebody is born in Simha Lagna, Leo Lagna, this will be the number first house. You will put ascendant here, you will start counting from here. Okay, let's see an example. So example, say this is the North Indian, South Indian. So you put AS. AS means Lagna. So this is the 8th sign, Vrishika Lagna. So Vrishika Lagna, this is first house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all that, right? So if you see the North Indian style, Vrishika sign is the 8th sign in the natural zodiac. So you put number 8 here. So 8, 9, 10, 10, 12, again 1, 2, 3, all that. Then you put the planets here. I told you it is anti-clockwise here, right? Second house, Dhanushu, Mars, you put here. And so finally, 12th house, Tula, Mercury and Sun, that is here, okay? So these things you have to remember. This is the one thing you need to remember. What is that? It's basically the 12 signs, okay? The 12 signs, starting from Mesha to Kumbha. So it is easy. In a fixed zodiac, you can easily remember. So what you do is, you put the box here, this 12 signs, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and you copy the same thing on the bottom, okay? And then, so Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury. Then on the side, you put Venus and Sun, and this left side, Saturn, 2 signs. So if you look at it, each planet owns 2 signs. So, and then you will see the signs are owned only by the 7 planets, not Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu are not given any lordships. Okay. So only Sun and Moon have only 1 sign. All other planets, grahas, have 2 signs. And these are the 27 nakshatras. So there are basically 27 nakshatras starting from Ashwini to Revati. Okay, so each nakshatra is, again, you divide 360 by 27, you get 13 degrees, 20 minutes. So the nakshatras have the lords also. Lordships are there for nakshatras. Here, Rahu and Ketu are given the lordships as well. So it first starts with Ketu, this order. So Ketu, Venus, Sun, Moon, Mars, Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, 9 nakshatras. Then after that, the same cycle repeats. So 27 nakshatras by 9 planets. Each planet has 3 nakshatras each. Okay. So this is how it is. So there will be overlapping. Okay. So for example, this nakshatra Kritika will be overlapping between Mesha and Vrishabha, like that. So this is another representation I've given degree wise what it is. Okay, so now we'll look at the tatwa. So there are basically three types of rasis. One is movable or chara rasi. Chara means movable, right? So basically it is ruled by Brahma. Their nature is dynamic. Dynamic, that is the positive side, I'm saying dynamic. If you see negative side, what is the negative side? That means they will be always changing their mind. They won't be sticking to one thing. Okay, they keep changing it. If I have to joke, we can say like politicians, one day they will be in one party, the next day there will be in another party. Okay, so they're they're very dynamic. So that is the thing. And the other one is sthira. Sthira means fixed. So it is ruled by Shiva, and they are stable and constant. They won't change. Once they decide, that's it. They won't change. Whatever come what may, they won't change. That is sthira. And the other one is dual, dvibhava. Dvibhava, that is dual. That means it's ruled by Vishnu. Their nature is both dynamic and change. So, dynamic and fixed. Okay, so they will be fixed and they will change also if necessary, depending on the situation. Okay, so that is why, yeah. So that is also needed in the present competitive world, right? So if you see, now let us see what are all the signs, right? So movable is basically you just put these three columns, Chara, Sthira, and dual, right? Put 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So then this is what it is. And then Mesham, Karkatam, Tulam, Makaram is movable. Vrishabam, Simham, Vrishikam, Kumbham is fixed. Jewel is Mithunam, Kanya, Dhanushu, and Meena. That is basically, if you look at our South Indian style, the four corners is dual signs. And even their actual sign also will be dual. In Meena, there you will see two fishes. Mithunam, you will be two persons like that. Okay. Okay. So now let us see these popular concepts, right? You hear about these popular concepts: exaltation, ucham, debilitation, nicham. You see, you hear about own house archi, in Tamil they call. If a planet is placed in their own house in anybody's horoscope, they will say, oh, you have a planet in own house, that is very good, like that, right? And Mula Trikonam. Mula Trikonam is also another very powerful thing. It is considered. And then aspects, drishti, parvai, all that. And then retrograde, vakram, right? Vakri in Hindi they call. That is one. And then you see like yogas, Raja yogas, Vipirita Raja yogas, and all that. You will be hearing all these terms. You switch on any astrology channel or any astrologer, he will be talking about. But we will not be using these methods at all. Without using these things, we will be able to predict. The stellar method, the Stellanati method, the beauty of that method is we will not be using these at all, these concepts at all. Yes, I will teach you what these concepts, you will understand, but in our predictions, we will not be using these at all. Without using this, we will be doing the predictions. That is the beauty of this method. Okay, so how all that is why like you have to go through the complete course, and I will teach you. At the end of 6 months, you will be able to make the predictions and all those chapters, topics, whatever I have listed, in less than 2 minutes. Okay, so we won't be using this method, right? Then this is most advanced at very simplified. I will make it simplified so that you can easily understand. And then I have my own hybrid method. I have tweaked this method and it increases the accuracy level even more. Okay, that's why I call it K.V.N's hybrid method. And I can guarantee that after 6 months, you will be able to make the prediction in less than 2 minutes. Okay, usually it will happen, you will be able to do it in 1 minute. 2 minutes is the maximum. That is a guarantee I can give you with clear prediction, not like this or that. You will be able to clearly say, yes, this is what will happen. In less than 2 minutes, you will be able to do it. Okay, I think, yeah, that's where we stopped. So we can catch up in the next class. And those whoever is interested, please message me on my WhatsApp 408-909-5867, or message me. Then we will be able to, you can join the class.